So we thought we'd try something new and interview our team. And you joined a short straw, actually. So you're the first one. So let's see how this goes. But what I'm particularly interested to talk about is obviously you will talk about it a bit more, but you've moved from one industry to another, and you've joined Chills. And funny enough, a lot of people say that there's a lot of transferable skill sets, and you work very much in the customer service industry. And I really wanted to get a little bit of information about that. So maybe we kick off with just talking a bit about you and what you've done in the past, and we can delve into some more information.
Okay. Well, I joined Rothschilds, as you know, but people may not know. I joined Rothschilds in August, having worked for British Airways as cabin crew for many years. Something I probably thought I was going to do for many years, but this year's been a strange year, and many people have had to rethink their careers. And I had a rethink of mine and left British Airways in September, and so August, and then came straight to you. So I was very lucky indeed to find myself in doing something that I've always wanted to do, but never actually thought I would leave my old job. I was too comfortable, but I was forced to. And sometimes when you're really comfortable, you don't push yourself as much as you should. So I pushed myself, and I took a huge leap, and it was the most frightening thing I've ever done. But I did it, and I'm proud that I did it when I did it, because I think I took control of the situation, and I found myself in a job which I'm absolutely loving. And I think it was bizarrely the worst year and yet the best year last year. So many ways it was terrible.
I mean, it's funny how COVID has pushed people into different directions, and like I always say, there's always an opportunity, and from every catastrophe or whatever you want to call it, there's an opportunity, and those people that actually see those opportunities that benefit it. So,
and you've got to see, if you get given lemons, what do? You have to make lemonade. You've just got to make the best of situations, dig deep, find what you've got within you, and transfer. And that's what you said about transferable skills. I knew I had the customer service skills standing on my head without blowing my own trumpet. That's what British Airways does. It instills the best customer service skills in its staff. I had that, but I just didn't quite know how I could use that. And I'm loving the fact that working in an estate agent lets me use the skills that I had. Obviously, there were skills I didn't have. Computer-wise, I was on a very steep learning curve, and there was quite a lot of stuff that I genuinely thought I can never do this, but I've surprised myself. And after a few false starts, I've managed to work it all out, and I'm feeling proud of myself for that. Don't always get it right, but then nobody does. And that's another thing I've learned, is that you can't get it right first time necessarily. And if you don't, you just pick yourself up and you do it again, and then you do get it right.
That's true. And I think the industry, estate agencies, changed recently. I mean, there's been a big push towards online estate agents. The sort of like, the purple bricks, like that. It's very much a commodity, and it's not actually a customer service.
No, it really is. It's all about people.
It's all about people, and I think there's a big almost shift between, on one scale you've got, is it a commodity where you just automate everything, or on the other scale is high customer service. And the industry has never really pushed towards high customer service because they had no real competition, and I think this has driven the customer service element a lot more. Because when you're going to an estate agent, you're looking at their relationship over a period of time, and it is quite protracted, as you can see, and customer service becomes very much at the most important part. And I'm talking to other industry people in the estate agency, and how cabin crew and British Airways staff fits in perfectly with estate agency, where you've got to empathise with them and deal with them in a position where you're dealing with the biggest asset, and it could be quite stressful due to death, divorce, or debt, for whatever reason you're selling. And you've got, when you're dealing with, on an aeroplane, which could be quite important, you've got to be authoritative. You can actually transfer that over into the whole process. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, the airline thing is the way it's different slightly is that you have a much shorter time with people and you don't make the same connections over a long time. But in this industry, first impressions are really important as well, because people will be ringing me up and asking, as I did this morning, somebody rang up and she actually said after we had a conversation, it's so nice to talk to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about and is easy to talk to. She said it's all about ringing. She said sometimes I ring people and we can't, she said I don't get anything back. I can't get through. We don't have a conversation. We don't have a laugh. And we had a bit of a connection this morning. And that's what airline staff are very good at, is meeting somebody instantly and finding a connection, finding something in common. And it's not made up. It's just something that you do. It becomes a second nature. And you have to be, you also have to be fairly honest. People have to know to trust you in this industry. I know, because I didn't work in it before, that there's a bit of mistrust around a state agency, rightly or wrongly. People think they're dealing with sharks, or they're dealing with people that aren't telling them the truth. And that's the bad side of it. And I see now that people have to trust you. And if you get the trust and people know you're going to tell them the truth and know you're going to be straight with them, they're straight with you back, and things work really smoothly. Yeah.
And I think that legacy of estate agency with sort of suits and sharp suits back from the 80s has given us a bit of a bad impression.
It's not like that at all. From what I can see, it's not like that, and it's been a really nice thing to learn how it's a different world. But there's still residue there, and that's a real shame, because it really isn't like that. Well, it isn't here. I can't speak for the whole of the industry, but working for Rothschilds, very family orientated, very a really good, tight team that all work together. And that gives us, I think, an advantage, is the fact that we're not big corporate people. We care, and we know the people, and we get to know our vendors, and we get to know the people who are searching for properties, and we genuinely want to make a difference to their lives. So I've loved that. And carrying on a relationship with people, not just seeing them briefly. The lady this morning, we're going to show her around a house. She's told me what she needs, how it's going to change her life if she can get into a slightly bigger house. And I feel now that it's our responsibility to find that for her. And I think we can do it.
Absolutely. And I think this is the point. I mean, most people move on average every 7 years. And what tends to happen in the industry is that, you find a buyer and you sell the property, and basically you cut off that relationship at that point. But I think it's important to continue that relationship over a period of time, because there's so much more an estate agent can do other than just sell their house. They can give you, an up-to-date value on a yearly basis. I mean, it's no different to if you have your car and you have an MOT and you go and see the mechanic year on, and they'll give you an up-to-date, situation about the car. What difference is that about the property, which at the end of the day is your biggest asset? So really, the relationship doesn't stop when you hand over the keys. It should continue. And I think the industry needs to do more in that respect and build that long-term nurturing relationship where that you can rely on that estate agent to give you a real value as opposed to a fictitious value. Because when you call in the 3 agents, they're in competition with one another, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear as opposed to what the real value is. And you would only know that if you built up that relationship with the estate agency. So I think estate agents need to sort of reach out a bit more after they've completed the transaction and build that long-term relationship. That's good. So where do you see yourself, in the year's time within Rothschilds? Obviously you're speaking to me, but tell us a bit about your ambitions and how you see you can self-grow in this position.
I'd like to, I didn't come into it with a goal. I didn't come into it thinking I've come here because I want to reach this and this. So I may be different to other people who join businesses who've already decided where they're going. I was so surprised to get the opportunity to come here anyway, and so delighted that I basically came in and just thought, let's see how this goes. And it's becoming interesting how I've picked up over 4 months from knowing absolutely nothing at all about this business, how I'm beginning to pick up on how the relationships work, how it works. It's not just selling a house. It's not just showing somebody around, opening a key in a door. There we go, I'll have it. that's your job done. It's the negotiation afterwards. It's the fact that things fall down all the time. Things fall down at the last minute, the panic that sets in. I mean, I'm good for that because I'm used to having to deal with stuff in an unflappable manner. You know, that's one thing I think I'm quite good at, because we had emergencies happen when we were flying in an instant, and you had to be able to deal with it. You couldn't wait for an hour and then decide how you're going to deal with it. It had to be instant, and you had to keep you calm. And that's sometimes what happens here. You know, you get some really last minute things that happen with viewings, or, you know, people being late, people turning up at the wrong time, going to the wrong house, and you are literally juggling to make sure that everybody is kept, otherwise the whole thing falls down. So I'm good at that, and I can see that, and I'm enjoying doing the viewings, and I'm loving being given a little bit more on the social media side, because that's something that I'm really passionate about. So I'm hoping in the next year to really build up a great social media presence, make it very personal to us, not just have it as a corporate Facebook and Instagram, but make it more about who we are. So I'd love to do that, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that the personal relationship part that you're talking about with the customer is important, and obviously understanding the industry is one thing, but also I think it's important to have that local knowledge. And I think you'll probably see that one of the big benefits is that you know locally the area very well. You live locally, Liz, isn't that right? Yeah.
I do, yes. I live in Shepperton, but I'm in Walton. I know Walton very well. In fact, bizarrely, having worked here for 4 months, I now know it like the back of my hand. It's weird how you suddenly work out how all the roads fit together and where everybody fits in, and also the local businesses. It's been really nice getting to know all the local businesses. I use the shops here. I'm really, truly passionate believer in shopping local and keeping local businesses running. So with our Facebook over the next year, I'm going to really focus in on not just us, but the people who help Walton run, people who help the lifeblood of Walton, really, which are the small businesses that keep us going and have kept us going over the last year. So I'd really like to focus in on them this year, which is going to be a very positive thing. So yeah, loving Walton, I just think it's the best place to live. And you know, I'm passionate about showing people that. I couldn't do it if I didn't believe in it myself.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I mean, we're in an office on the high street, and it's almost as if those walls are invisible now, and people can actually get to know us. I think one of the big benefits of social media is that they can get to know us. And the point of this, today is really for people to get to know us before, they knock on the door, because it is a bit daunting to walk into an estate agency. So it's bringing out the character.
I can't wait for the day when they can walk in the estate agents again. That's what I'm looking forward to in 2021. I want to see people. I want to look them in the eye and be able to help them. At the moment, we've got that barrier up. We're still doing viewings. I'm sure people know that, or some people don't know that, is that the one thing that hasn't changed with all the lockdown is that we are still allowed to do viewings, albeit under very strict conditions. But that's been brilliant, because it's kept the property industry running a little bit. We haven't had to just completely stop it, because there's so much going on at the moment. That would have been tragic to stop it. So I'm really pleased that we're still out there, and we're still helping people at the moment to find their perfect property.
Perfect. And I mean, I think the other thing to add is that obviously we do virtual tours, and I think all of our properties got virtual tours. And I think everybody should be aware that really you should be viewing on a virtual tour first of all. And if your estate hasn't got a virtual tour, I would insist on seeing it that way, rather than put yourself at risk. And also it puts our sellers at risk and our staff at risk. So we're proud to say that we have got virtual tours on all our properties. And it saves people time. And moving forward, I think in the industry, virtual tour is going to become a big thing. It's going to save people lots of time. We had people coming from Derby, who basically thought, okay, I'll look at a virtual tour, and they could eliminate the properties that they wish to view, or those that don't wish to view. And it saves everyone's time, and it's really good. So that's what I would say.
It's all about the quality of viewings now, rather than the quantity. I think it's important to have the right people walking through the doors. And I think that's actually, even when we're back to normal again, who knows when that will be, even then, that's a good thing to be doing. Having the right people looking at the right properties. Having 10 people walking through the door that are all wrong is not going to help anyone. So that saying that you've got 20 viewings, they have to be 20 good quality viewings, and that's what we tend to do, is vet people and make sure that they are seeing the property that's right for them. Otherwise, it's, as you say, a waste of everybody's time.
Exactly. Good.
And that's what getting to know your clients is all about. It's getting to know what people really want, not just a 3-bedroom house. It's how they feel about that, how they can see themselves living. You want to hear that from them. You don't just want to hear they want a 3-bedroom house. You want to hear they want a 3-bedroom house because their kids love playing in the garden. They've moved from London. They want more space. They want to walk down by the river. It's a feeling of the community around them. You can think of houses that you think that would fit them perfectly. And that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely, and I think that's a good point. It's about selling the emotions. You know, people with a transaction where you just buy the factual fact about the property. It's more about the emotions and the feeling, and you know, that's really important because it's a long transaction, and they've got plenty of time to think about it. If they haven't fallen in love with the property, there's a chance that they'll fall through or they will pull out at some point. So they really got to feel and love the house, which is great, and I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, thank you very much for your time today.
That's all right.
Hopefully that's useful. Anybody got any questions, please send them in to us. Or anybody wants to appear on one of our lives, you know, so we can connect in with the local community, that would be great as well. And,
be very scared. I'll be contacting some people in the local community to do just this over the next few months. So if you get an email from me inviting you in for a chat online, I'd love to speak to you about your business, and you can tell us a little bit about what's making you your business work or not work, or what people can do for you to help you. That's what I'm going to be looking for. So expect a few emails being sent out, and hopefully it's not scary. We can do this.
Fantastic. All right, Liz, thanks very much, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.